Is the Corsair more than just a rebadged $60,000 Escape? We'll find out with today's review. The Lincoln of Draper's providing us with this Corsair. Let's get right into it. Under the hood is a turbo 2-liter 4-cylinder that goes through an 8-speed automatic. Power outputs are 250 horsepower, 275 pound-feet of torque, with fuel economy being 21 around town, 28 on the highway. If you're looking for more straight-to-the-point reviews like this, make sure you subscribe. Now you can see the hood raises up towards the center, and the light design is actually pretty traditional, especially for a modern car. And then they do spruce things up with the Lincoln grille. Of course, got the logo in the center there, but it all looks fancier. 245 by 45 by 20 for the tire and wheel setup. You got these nice body-painted fender flares, contrast the blacked-out wheels. Corsair badge there on the side. You got the blacked out mirror cap, and I like the pillar that's also blacked out. Here's the side profile with the Corsair. Again, it's smaller like the Escape. And when it comes to key fob features, we have our lock and unlock, remote start. You got the opening for the hatch, Lincoln logo there in the back. Now the seats do fold down flat. You also have these little buttons to lower those. Spare tire underneath as well. 12 volt on the other side, and it's pretty decent cargo space. Again, this is kind of like the sweet spot, or one of the sweet spots for a car, because you got good passenger space still, which you'll see in a moment, but good cargo space too. Got the Lincoln light bar. Every Lincoln has to have a light bar, I suppose. Lincoln logo too, and then you can see the exhaust tips on the other side. That will cap things off for the exterior of this Corsair. Let's now check out the interior. So it's regular glass in the back, and this is nice with all of the trim. Goes throughout, like the handle there too. You can see the window control. Seats are perforated all down the center. You do have a little adjustment there to throw it down. Good legroom in the back. We have a little storage net. Heated seats in the rear, got vents in the back, some little charge ports at the very bottom. And then we do have a panoramic sunroof in this too. Keyless entry for up front, and let's check it out. Blind spot warning with the mirrors. You got the thicker glass up front. This is nice. Again, with all the soft touch and the stitching. You've got memory seats, all the seat adjustments, all of your window controls, the mirrors power fold in. And then the Lincoln seats are always going to look a little bit fancier. Have a little bit more adjustment with them, obviously. And then even the light controls a little bit nicer. The steering wheel's power adjustable. Taking a look at the rest of the steering wheel, soft touch paddles in the back. You got the voice command control on the rim of the wheel. That's interesting. Yeah, this has the fancy illuminated Lincoln steering wheel, so a little bit of a gimmick, but you do have regular stocks there on the back. Digital cluster here in the center. You can kind of change the layout just depending on what you're looking for out of the system. This does also come with a 360 camera system. It's got good resolution. There is a little zoom function with that as well. And then as for the rest of the infotainment system, the response time is pretty good. It is struggling to pick up my finger because of the screen. Like there's a little kind of plastic covering on it. But anyways, you got massage seats. It's got nice luxury. Heated and ventilated seats, so you can turn that on or off with these little controls right there. And then below we've got these little tabs for the transmission. Select some shortcut buttons for different items, like your traction control for the camera system, a little volume control as well. I like this. Kind of reminds me of like a file cabinet in a way, with how that kind of slides, or like a nice office desk. Drive mode select here. They do like fancy names for the modes with Lincoln, like Excite for the sport mode, but yeah, it's normal drive modes. Got some cup holders, and then the center console. This is kind of weird how it arcs down, and they try to connect the stitching, which is funny. Like I said earlier, panoramic center. 2026 Lincoln Corsair, $62,720. Let's see how this Corsair performs. Well, now that they got rid of the Escape, I guess that you either have to choose if you want the Escape size, Bronco Sport or Corsair. Which, yeah, it seems like Ford was kind of, please tell me the fan speed's gonna be lower. Do I have to do this automatically? I do not like screen controls. Okay, there we go. Man, do they annoy me. Yeah, this segment's really difficult because it's like one of the most competitive segments in the US market. This and three-row, like this, three-row SUVs and then trucks. Like that is pretty much all of the vehicles that people want in the US market. They either want something that is big, pretty big trunk, but small enough to get good fuel economy and zip around easily, or they want something that can haul the family, or they want a pickup truck. Ford dominates with pickup trucks, and Ford does well with three-rows. I mean, the Expedition does well, the Explorer does well, but Ford and all the other American automakers, they struggle with these smaller SUVs. The Japanese kind of have these on lock. And I mean, everyone's tried to like get in on this segment in the luxury car world, because you look at like the German brands, like, you know, BMW X1 and X3, Mercedes GLA and GLC, and Audi Q3, and you got this. There's a lot. And the thing I think is ironic is this is not really, I would say like luxury small is not really what a lot of people here in the US are looking for. I think they're looking for more luxury big. Now, I talk to a lot of people, and I'm always interested to get feedback from others, because, you know, I kind of live in a little bit of a bubble in a sense. Like, you know, when I'm not meeting people on dealer lots and everything, I mean, like, I don't have any employees, so I'm just by myself all day, right? I get keys from the dealerships, obviously. The reason I'm bringing this up, I didn't have a huge problem with 4-cylinder luxury cars. I thought that it was fine. I'm like, oh, well, if it's got good power delivery, it's got good power delivery. But after a few conversations with people, I've kind of realized that it's a much bigger deal than I thought. People really do care about the sound that a car makes. It's not just how fast it gets you from 0 to 60. It's got to either be no sound at all, like EV, right? So it doesn't get in the way. Or if it does make sound, it's got to be something that's pleasant to listen to. And herein lies the problem with the Escape. Just kidding. I had to make the joke. With the Corsair. This 4-cylinder, good power, but you know, you got that 4-cylinder sound. It's not bad. Well, it's 4-cylinder. So it's kind of like the worst sound that an engine can make. I mean, 3 cylinders are actually even worse. Depending on the 3-cylinder, I should say, actually. So I kind of imagine you get this and you're like, oh, it's a nice insulated interior with these thicker windows and all this, and then you step on it and it kind of sounds like a lawnmower. Now for me, again, like, I've gotten to the point where I guess I've been reviewing these new cars so much, so often, that I'm just kind of like, I'm used to it now. And that is something to note. If you drive it for long enough, you just get used to it. But yeah, I can see if you come from a V6 or especially like a V8 and you go to this, it's pretty disappointing. It is pretty disappointing. So I think the Corsair is a good example of, like, this is a nice car. It's comfortable. The interior is nice. It's got nice materials. It's actually got pretty good build quality. Everything's like tight, fit and finish wise. Everything is nice. But it's got the wrong engine. And I don't know what the thing is. I don't know what to put in something like this. I really don't think that like small luxury cars make sense in the US. I think most people want bigger cars. I think people that buy small cars, they want it like as cheap as possible, and so they're going to go non-luxury. But yeah, I do think the luxury brands need to bring back crazier engines, because if you want quiet, you just get electric, right? If you don't want to listen to the powertrain. And then like this, also performance wise, like the Escape, and this is the other problem with these modern luxury cars, they have the same exact engine as their non-luxury counterparts oftentimes. So there's no benefit in terms of performance. So they need to offer more. It can't just be, hey, we have nicer styling in the exterior, nicer interior materials. Like, the performance has to actually be better. It's hard to do that when you're focusing on small engines. But if they have the ability to put bigger engines, then you can give the people some power. It's the Corsair.